Hello YouTube, Sniping is Fun here, and this is going to be a video I wanted to do for a while now, but I wanted to wait until CKW Season 3 was over with, and before I ever tackle Season 4. I wanted to do a video on like what inspired me to get into call wrestling on YouTube, which definitely I think was bigger back in the day than I think a lot of people seem to do now. But there's quite a bit of still out there of people on YouTube using like video games and whatnot to do like wrestling leagues. But I wanted to kind of go over like what my inspiration was, because like I wanted to kind of just show what the reasoning for stuff and why I kind of wanted to do it. I've been wanting to do a call league for as long as I can remember, like about late high school, early college. I can definitely remember that's about the time when I would have started coming across a bunch of leagues on YouTube. And those are what inspired me to do, because I always like creating my own characters, creating like people I knew, my own original characters, superheroes, anime characters, video game characters, real life people, a bunch of stuff throughout wrestling video games for like as far back as I can remember. I remember creating characters in video games since like Warzone and Attitude, since the Aki games and stuff like that. So to actually kind of be creative enough to want to go and make like a show of it for people to watch like on YouTube definitely was a thing that I would say has been kind of like something I wanted to tackle for a while. But yeah, like around late high school, going into early-ish medium, midway kind of college or so, I would have came across, I think there's about four leagues out there, four call leagues out there that really inspired me like the most to do stuff. One was No DQ, call wrestling. I especially remember seeing like the highlights of it, seeing like Mario versus Luigi and like the Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and Superman and Batman, all that stuff, all the stuff like on Day of Reckoning, WrestleMania 19 and whatnot. Like that was probably one of the first ones I remember seeing like of like a call league. That's one. Two, ICCW from Zachary Dacry. That was probably one of the strongest ones. One of the ones I probably watched the most. That was definitely a college thing. I remember Zomagon Mania. I didn't watch everything religiously up until that point, but then I was ready for a season 2, and then he kind of stopped. There's VWF from Mercurius, I think his name was. He hasn't done anything in forever, but a lot of his league was interesting, seeing it through like I think it was like W12 or 13 or SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 or something, and doing like all like an all female wrestling league was actually kind of interesting too. And then there was ACWL, I think from Dr. Pizza, which was like N64, like No Mercy and stuff. Like those are the four main ones I think I remember that really got me into wanting to do it for myself. It just was so interesting and how much creativity went into all that, and like seeing those videos and seeing those leagues and seeing what characters they chose and how they did stuff. Not saying those are the only four, but those are definitely the main four that definitely impacted me. I know SCAW was a thing at some point. There was some league I remember that had like Just Bring It and SmackDown, it's like SmackDown Just Bring It, SmackDown Shut Your Mouth in it too at some point. There's obviously stuff nowadays like that people do nowadays and whatnot to do stuff. And I remember the Tarot Law videos of them creating that character and him doing all the crazy stunts and stuff like in Here Comes the Pain. Yeah, those were all like my main inspirations. And for the longest time, I had no way to really use because a lot of these people have like the means to record stuff off the games, put them on the computer, do the editing software, stuff like that. I never really had any of that. I had like cameras and video, like doing this on a cell phone right now, like stuff like that helped me over the years to do like my earliest stuff before CKW. I did record a few video clips for like, it was like VWF, and like the VGWF and like the AWF, like anime and video game type stuff I created back in like SmackDown vs. Raw 07 and 08. I never fully intended to put them on YouTube, but I kind of did stuff for me and then just showed off clips because I didn't really have any camera at the time to really record the screen. Like I said, I didn't have the software to record it. The first time I ever really would have tackled it, I don't know how many of you out there have been watching my channel for a long time back, for a long enough time to remember this, but back around like 2011 ish, I was doing the YGWF, which it started off as the YouTube Gamer Wrestling Federation, but became the YouTube Generation Wrestling Federation, which was in No Mercy. It had a bunch of YouTubers on it. I had like the Game Chasers, AVGN, various people from the NW Nation, like Black Baron and whatnot. There's like numerous people from around YouTube around like 2010 to like 2013ish that you would know from like video games, movies, anime, wrestling, so on and so forth. I had like everybody pretty much involved. A bunch of people, a bunch of characters I created that I never ended up using either. So that is the case too. But I would record the screen with my camera, and then I'd put it in the computer and then turn those into videos. It was crappy quality, but it was what I had at the time. And that was the most, at the time, I was able to dedicate to, you know, a colleague, was my old camera, which didn't have that great quality, and then eventually my earliest cell phones and whatnot to record stuff too. So that was my earliest attempt. I did about like 20-something shows, one mega show, started partially afterwards, debuted a bunch of people, and then YGWF just kind of disappeared mostly because I didn't have the time to do it at the time. My next attempt would have been a couple of wrestling stuff with my cousin Vito, which was the Insane Gaming Geek, and we did some Two Cousins on our channel, Two Cousins Game that we used to do back in the day. I was still in college at the time. We did some stuff in like SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, I believe, or 2K14. We did in 2K14, but I think we started in 2011, I think. We did some matches. It wasn't a full-fledged call league, but we did some matches. We called it at least I call it 2CW. We never really had a name for it at the time. And then my other cousin Patrick on our PNT Gamers channel that we haven't done anything in forever, we did TPW, Total Power Wrestling. And we did that in like 2K16 and 2K18. We started in 2K16 and did some stuff in 2K18, and then that mostly went out when he and I couldn't really have time to go and record stuff and really do anything. And then it was like I had my attempts, the YGWF, 2CW, TPW, and I wanted to attempt it again. Ended up getting a PS4, realizing that I can record from the PS4 and directly upload it to YouTube. I can use a headset and turn off the audio so I can sound like the commentary is working. It might be simplistic. It's not like a lot of the old colleagues that really went into video editing and allowed cutscenes and backstage promos and all this other stuff. But I'm very simplistic. My CKW storytelling is mostly through commentary and through some posts I put like on Twitter and Facebook and sometimes here on YouTube. So I'm very simplistic with that, and I actually kind of like it that way. I'm keeping it very simplistic. But then I started realizing I can then set it up so I can hear the audio through the background, so the music thing, because 2K, like a lot of games, once you record videos, it doesn't record like audio that's like licensed and stuff, so I couldn't really do that. So I found the workaround where at least you barely hear the sound through my headset when I'm talking. And here we are with CKW. I'm 3 seasons strong. I'm about to go ahead into a season 4, which I'm currently creating characters for. And I intend to start, if not by the end of the year, by like January, February of next year at the very latest. I'm creating a bunch of characters. It's going to be in 2K24, so there's that. Yeah, that's really about where my inspiration, the road to CKW, the road to where I am now, my inspirations, a bunch of colleagues back in the day, and people also posting stuff on like the IGN boards and various other websites where they just posted pictures of their characters, like the whole call formula stuff from back in the day, seeing that kind of thing, and people posting their characters and characters they created. It wasn't all just colleagues, it was just people online showcasing the wrestlers they created, which I was already doing for the longest time. So it's cool to see like what people were doing, showing off their creations, which then led to YouTube channels and people making their own wrestling shows. It was essentially just like the real world of wrestling, but now you have all these colleagues, hundreds of colleagues just all over the place in various video games, from Fire Pro to SmackDown to, I'm sure someone did something in TNA, maybe the AEW game has something now, all the SmackDown versus Raw, SmackDowns. I'm sure in the future Ultra Pro Wrestling and ultra violence and wrestling code will probably have something to go with them. If call leagues continue, there's room for it to go everywhere. And my intention with CKW going forward is to expand outside of WWE 2K and do other wrestling games and other sports and other types of games too that kind of have like some sort of like spin-off type stuff eventually. But seeing all that stuff over the years, especially at high school and college, and seeing what they did and me attempting stuff over the years and it not really going anywhere until CKW, that's definitely where my inspiration for this has been. So with that said, I thank all those creators out there, Mercurius, Zachary Dackery, I forgot the Aaron Rift. Yeah, I was about to say one of the people who created No DQ. And ACWL and all that stuff, all those creators, SCAW, Tarot Law, anyone that created these characters, anyone that made these leagues, I thank you all. And let's look forward to more Call League action going forward. I wanted to do this video just so you kind of know where I came from. I thank you all for watching. My name is Typing Fun. Peace. Please subscribe if you want to. Have a lovely day and stay tuned for more CKW action coming your way pretty damn soon. Bye, everyone.